Hello and welcome to Oasis WTS episode 2. The first thing I'm going to do is thanks very much for everyone who watched the last video about how to play Wonderwall correctly. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go through some of the comments from the last thing. There's only 6 comments, but hey, better than none. So the first thing I'm going to say is thanks to Dinny Crow Show, to Dennis for commenting with the claps emojis, no text, just clap emojis. But Dennis has bet me that I won't get to 10 or to 1,000 subscribers. So I think there's 1,000 people in the world that are Oasis fans that would subscribe to the channel. Within 10 episodes of this, I will have 1,000 subscribers, which would be amazing, but probably won't happen. But in the 10 episodes that I'm going to do up to see where it goes, I'll probably do like top 5 Noel Gallagher solos and some of the best tracks of Oasis albums. I'm going to see if I can convert. I have a rare Oasis 1994 cassette from Manchester Academy, so I'm going to see if I can transfer tape to digital and put it up online. I'll probably not get a copyright strike, but if I do, I don't care. And I'm going to do a really controversial one that I really wanted to do is what would make What's the Story Morning Glory a better album? Using the tracks that Noel had around that time, would he change the sequence of tracks around from What's the Story, from using some of the B-sides? And have an interesting that would be a really interesting topic, so you can leave it down in the comments what you think you would change from What's the Story Morning Glory to make it an even better album than it already is or was. Back to the comments. So another one got was from Jason Clark. I know Jason, thanks very much for commenting and looking at the video. Hope you learnt a tiny little thing to do with Wonderwall. He says simply the simplest little things that is missed by most, and it is kind of missed by most, that little rhythm pattern. It's in the other video, go and watch it if you want. And it got a comment from the Harvey Boys, I presume is a band. I will check out your video or any of your content. He said nice one, I was wondering when someone was going to notice this. Not many people do notice that Wonderwall is played with that little rhythm pattern. He says maybe trimming off the performance at the end, so hopefully you'll keep it as original content. That's what I've done. I've actually changed the last bit where I had the performance. I cut it off. Actually, I did get a copyright strike on it for using that content. It said using the melody of Wonderwall, so thanks very much for that tip. So next comment was from Oasis Brother. Love the title of your channel. It said, be careful with the laptop, it looks like it could be on the floor with an easy mistake. He did notice this. Look, the laptop is actually balanced on some paint and a Noel Gallagher's High Flying Birds book. It's sturdy enough. I don't think it'll fall, but thanks for the warning, just in case if it did. And F, I know who this was. It was Fergal. He said, which do you prefer, Oasis or Blur? So this t-shirt is for you. It says, which do you prefer, Oasis or Blur? It's an old retro t-shirt. It's Father Ted reference. So I thought I'd do some current stuff. So I got it's a pretty cool book by Jill Furmanovsky. I think it is pretty decent size book. It's hardback. So first thing, it's got 288 pages in it. So I'm going to take the cover off it. So big book. It says 2 nights that will live forever. The photos are by Jill Furmanovsky and the text is by Daniel, Rachel. So that's the inside of, I presume that is Knebworth House on the left. So if they were standing in Slane, it would be very similar to it. What a great shot, like. Sound box, and you can see then the second, I think it was the second sound box that's back in the second sound box that's down at the end. What a great photo. But I'm just gonna, I haven't seen anything to do with the book, so I'm just gonna have a quick flick through it and see if there's anything that is amazing. That I haven't seen anything online or anything like that. So it says Oasis Knebworth. It has the tickets from the first. The one was in white. You can see that one was in white, and the other one was in orange for the 2 nights. This is Knebworth will 2 nights that will live forever with unseen images. So the overhead shot of all the Knebworth. They've probably seen that in the Supersonic film where the band is flying over the crowd. Another great shot. This was an image from Champagne Supernova. So it has some text, and obviously I'll get around to reading it and review it, and I may come back to, when I get a chance to read it, to kind of come back and give you some of my highlights from the book. But first impressions of it, it seems like a great book. There's actually a great bit of reading in it. It seems to have a lot of kind of documentation about the night. This is the rehearsals from Birmingham. This is one thing that I think people really like to see, is it's where you see the whole reel of a shoot, where you see all the photographs. You can nearly like make an animation of it, but like obviously sometimes the photographer, they take the one that they like or the one that the band has chosen. But this is fantastic to see all the photos that, like, even one where you probably want to get away where Noel's eyes are closed in it. But this must be still in the rehearsal in the NEC. Well, there's a great shot here of Noel. You can see him. He's sitting there in the NEC, and he is rehearsing. I suppose his acoustic set, or not really. But I'd say he was rehearsing maybe, or just doing a sound check on his guitar. He has, it looks like his Takamine guitar that he has. Some great photos of Bonehead and Guigsy. I think this image is amazing, but I think we've kind of seen this where Liam is sitting on the floor with the kind of the set design in the background. Jill would have been so lucky to be in that position where she could just wander around anywhere and just get some snaps of the band as they're performing. They would have been doing the rehearsals, so I don't think I've ever seen that photograph. That's a great photograph. That is Liam playing Guigsy's bass in the background, but it does look like Bonehead's guitar. On Square with the band, they must have been just going over the chords. It looks like so that John was rehearsing with them in this. I think Noel said it before, but it always looks like the clothes that they were wearing was too big for them. Here's a photograph of a photographer. Is Brian Cannon sitting with Liam. You like this photograph of just people sitting down facing the stage, but there's a lot of trees in the way. I didn't realise that Loch Lomond, if you were at Loch Lomond, you might have seen Oasis from behind a tree. But it was a time before camera phones, so people were just in the moment with the band. Cast, the Bootleg Beatles, Shaun Ryder from from Black Grape. I must say the pages on this, they're quite thick. They're very thick pages. Yeah, there's just some fantastic photos in this. The Calm Before the Storm. 70 odd pages of photos. And now we're on to some text. So I'm just going to read some text here from it. You can't take your eyes off Keith Flint from The Prodigy. The sound of everybody jumping in the air and all landing at the same time was incredible. I got tingles. I've been to some Prodigy gigs and they're just phenomenal. I'm surprised they didn't steal the show. I think there was a tiny bit in the Knebworth film where they said that the Prodigy could easily have stolen the show on Oasis, but not really. I'm going to have a read of this later, but so far from what I can see, it's just fantastic. There's a great shot of them, the guys going up towards their official press photos, and I think there's a little bit in it where Liam says you're here to take photographs, not ask questions, because they were asking the lads questions where they were just like, the press were there, the photographers were there. Actually, Jill has a photograph of the photographers. Yeah, a real motley crew of photographers, I must say. Jill's perspective on the guys, because it's completely different to what the photographers were getting, because they were behind the rail whereas Jill was right in front of them. So you can see from this shot, it looks like she's actually behind the fence that the photographers would have been, so she's getting lovely low angled shots facing up towards the guys, which is just fantastic. And I'm sure she probably got more, but she's got 6 great images there just of that. She's got one black and white, and she's definitely beneath Oasis from this. I don't know if you can see, but she's definitely she's underneath the fence looking up at the guys. And I think everyone has seen that image, so it doesn't really matter if I show this one, because I think that was in most, I think if anything, I think most press photographers that were there that day got that shot as well. Great shot there of Liam and Marcus Russell, their term manager. Okay, that is interesting. I never noticed that. There's a great, on whatever page it is, it doesn't matter, but there is a great snap of, it looks like Jason Rhodes with Noel's Epiphone Union Jack guitar, and Noel playing the Riviera, the Sunburst Riviera, or Vintage Sunburst, but on top of his amp is a walrus. It looks like a plush walrus, and I don't know if anyone's ever picked up on that before, but he has a walrus on top of the amp, or yeah.